The music was too loud, the laughter too sharp, and I was already out of place the moment I walked in. "Ethan, you made it." Lena waved me over, her sequined dress shimmering under the chandelier. "Wouldn't miss it," I said, holding the small wrapped box in my hand. My palms were damp. "Happy birthday." She smiled politely. "You didn't have to get me anything." "I wanted to," I replied. "I made it myself." Her friends circled around, champagne glasses in hand. Adrian, the guy with the tailored suit and the confident smirk, leaned forward. "Handmade?" "Now I'm curious." Lena unwrapped it slowly, eyes flicking between me and the crowd. The moment she saw the wooden bracelet box, her smile faltered. "It's wood," she said uncertainly. "It's carved," I explained quickly. "I used oak strong lasting." "Open it." She flipped the lid. Inside, a small silver bracelet lay on soft velvet. Beneath it, the engraving, "2 dreams that outgrow doubt." For a heartbeat, silence. Then Clara, one of her friends, snickered. "That's adorable." "Like something from a crafts fair," someone else whispered. "He actually made that." The laughter rippled through the group, soft at first, then sharper. Lena flushed. "Ethan, it's thoughtful," she said, her voice thin. But, I asked quietly. Adrian stepped closer, grinning. "It's just unexpected. Handmade gifts aren't exactly her style." He raised a glass. "She prefers diamonds, not wood." More laughter. I forced a smile, trying to keep my voice steady. "It's fine. I wasn't trying to impress anyone." Lena's eyes darted around the room. "You're overreacting." "They're just joking." "Yeah," I murmured. "Just jokes." Adrian slipped a small box from his pocket, sleek and glossy. "Speaking of gifts," he said, handing it to her. Lena opened it. A diamond bracelet sparkled under the lights, bright enough to blind. Her eyes widened. "Adrian, this is beautiful," he smirked. "Only the best for you." She turned, comparing my handmade bracelet to his diamonds. That tiny hesitation in her gaze said everything. "Looks like I should have gone to Tiffany's." I joked, though my voice cracked at the end. She didn't laugh. "Ethan, it's not about the gift," she said softly. "It's about understanding who I am. And who am I, Lena?" I asked. "The guy who doesn't belong here?" She sighed, glancing at her friends who were pretending not to listen. "You just don't fit my world." The words hit like a slow punch. I nodded once. "Got it." Adrian raised his glass again. "Don't take it personally, man. Not everyone's built for this crowd." I stared at him, then at Lena. Her eyes wouldn't meet mine. "Right?" I said, stepping back. "Thanks for the invitation." "Ethan, wait," she said quickly, but I was already walking toward the exit. The laughter faded behind me, replaced by the dull thud of music through the walls. Outside, the night air was cold, sharp enough to sting. I walked until I couldn't hear them anymore. The bracelet box was still in my hand. I looked down at it, my work, my time, my heart, and laughed softly. "2 dreams that outgrow doubt," I whispered. "Guess this is where doubt wins first." I found a park bench nearby and sat, letting the city lights blur in my vision. Every laugh from that party echoed in my skull. I could still see her face, embarrassed, ashamed to be seen with me. Maybe I should have felt anger. I didn't, just emptiness. My phone buzzed, text from Daniel. "Daniel, how'd it go?" I stared at it, typing back. "Me," she laughed. "Daniel, you okay?" "Me, not really. But I will be." I put the phone away, leaning back, staring up at the sky. Somewhere between humiliation and heartbreak, something inside me shifted. It wasn't rage. It wasn't revenge. It was quieter than that, like a flame catching on cold wood. I stood after a while, looked at the bracelet box one last time, then slipped it into my pocket. Not as a reminder of failure, but of where I'd start again. "Maybe love only exists until pride takes its place," I murmured, voice lost in the wind. That night, I didn't go home. I didn't need to, because something new was building inside, me silent, steady, unshakable. And it started the moment she laughed. Asterisk when Lena told me it was over. She didn't even flinch. I can't do this anymore, she said. Eyes steady, voice calm. Can't do what? I asked, though I already knew. Pretend, she said softly. Pretend that love is enough. So what's enough, Lena? Money? Status? Him. Her silence was louder than any answer. Adrian, I said finally, letting the name hang in the air. It's him, isn't it? She hesitated for half a second too long. He understands my world, Ethan. You don't, I laughed once. Yeah, he does. He probably built it for people like you. Her lips trembled. Don't make this harder than it already is. It's not hard, I said quietly. It's just real now. She reached for my hand, then stopped herself. I hope someday you'll forgive me. Forgive you? I whispered. Lena, I'm trying to forget you. When she left, I didn't chase her. I didn't beg. I just stood there, feeling the weight of silence press against my chest until I could barely breathe. That night, Daniel found me sitting on the curb outside my apartment, staring at nothing. Damn, he said, handing me a paper cup of coffee. You look like the end credits of a sad movie. She left, I muttered. I figured. He sat beside me. You okay? I thought I'd be angry, I said, but I'm just tired. Daniel nodded. Pain's fuel, Ethan. Use it, I scoffed. Fuel for what? Self-pity? No, he said. For building something that burns brighter than what she took from you. His words didn't hit right away. They stayed buried, quiet, waiting. The weeks after that blurred together. I took odd tech jobs fixing servers, coding for pennies, sleeping wherever I could. My hands ached, my eyes burned. But every night I whispered to myself, keep going. Sometimes. I'd see Lena's name pop up online pictures of her and Adrian at fundraisers. Luxury resorts, champagne smiles. Daniel noticed once. Still looking? Not really, I lied. You know what I think? He said, she didn't break you. She just showed you who you were never meant to be. I stared at him. You think I can come back from this? He grinned. You're not coming back, man. You're becoming? That line stuck with me. Becoming. I started sketching ideas for my own project, a small tech startup focused on smart home systems. Nothing fancy, just an idea. But for the first time, it felt like mine. When I pitched it to a small group, they laughed. You, one of them said. You think you can compete with giants? I smiled. They all started small. They didn't invest. I didn't care. Every rejection, every laugh fit, all felt familiar. Like echoes of that party of her voice saying, you don't fit my world. Maybe I wasn't meant to fit hers. Maybe I was meant to build mine. Daniel came by my tiny workspace one night, stepping over cables and coffee cups. You're still at it? Always, I said. Can't sleep when the code's not right. He laughed. You're obsessed. It's focused, I corrected. There's a difference. He raised his cup in salute. Then focus until they can't laugh anymore. I watched him leave, then looked around the small, messy room. My whole world fit inside for cracked walls, but it was my world now. The hum of my computer filled the silence. I looked at the line of code glowing on the screen and whispered, Pain is fuel. For a second, I could almost see the flames not, the ones that destroy, but the ones that forge. Every insult, every sneer, every laugh, they weren't wounds anymore. They were sparks, and from the ashes of her goodbye, the fire finally began to burn. Ethan, it's happening. Daniel burst through the door, phone in hand. His grin was wild, breathless. Novalink just hit 1 million downloads. 1 million. I blinked at him, still half asleep on my office couch. You're serious? Serious? He tossed the phone to me. Look at this. We're trending. Investors are calling. People are calling you a genius. I stared at the screen. My app, the one I coded on secondhand hardware, fueled by cold coffee and stubborn hope, was everywhere. Daniel clapped my shoulder. Man, we made it. We actually made it. I smiled faintly. Feels strange? Strange? He laughed. Ethan, you're officially the guy everyone laughed at and now secretly envies. How does that not feel amazing? I shrugged. Because maybe I didn't win. Maybe I just escaped losing. He frowned. That's the most depressing victory speech I've ever heard. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily. It's like I should feel something, right? Joy, relief, pride. But all I feel is quiet. Daniel crossed his arms. You burned for 2 years straight. Maybe you forgot what peace feels like, maybe I said. Or maybe I traded it for something else. He tilted his head. Like what? Purpose, I murmured. Before he could respond, my phone rang again at known number. I answered. Ethan Cole. A composed voice replied, Mr. Cole, this is Howard Kingston from Silver Ridge Ventures. Congratulations on Novalink's success. We'd like to discuss an acquisition offer. I froze. Acquisition. Yes, he said smoothly. We believe Novalink could integrate perfectly into our platform. We're prepared to make a generous proposal. 7 figures? Daniel mouthed. 7 figures? I swallowed hard. That's a lot to consider. Of course, Mr. Howard said. Just remember, growth can be a blessing or a trap. Don't lose your soul to success. Line clicked dead. Daniel was practically bouncing. 7 figures, man. You could buy an island, or lose one, I said. He blinked. You're seriously thinking about not taking it? I rubbed my temples. If I sell it now, it's over. If I keep it, it becomes something bigger, but heavier too. Daniel sighed. You're overthinking again. Maybe. But I've seen what happens when people chase the wrong kind of more. He paused, his voice softening. This is still about Lena, isn't it? I didn't answer. He exhaled. Ethan, she's gone. This is yours. You built it without her, without anyone. Stop looking backward. I'm not, I said quietly. I'm just making sure I'm not becoming what I hated. For a long moment, the room was silent except for the low hum of the computer screens. Then Daniel laughed, trying to lighten the air. Well, if success doesn't make you happy, at least it pays better than heartbreak. That one made me smirk. True, he grinned. So what now, boss? Now. I looked around at the office, the whiteboards full of sketches. The piles of wires and notes, the coffee-stained desk that had become my entire world. Now we keep building. Daniel nodded. No breaks? Not yet, I said. Breaks are for people who stop. Later that night, after he left, I sat alone, staring at the glowing Novalink dashboard. Numbers climbing, messages flooding in, my name everywhere. Success was supposed to feel like victory. It didn't. It felt like silence after a storm. I whispered to myself, maybe I didn't win anything. Maybe I just survived long enough to forget losing. Outside. The city lights flickered like distant stars cold. Beautiful, untouchable, for the first time in years. I didn't feel the burn of failure or the hunger for revenge, just an empty calm. And somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered, don't lose your soul to success. I nodded to no one. Too late, I said softly. Half of it's already gone. Asterisk. Morning, Ethan. Grace walked into my office, her tone unusually cautious. She was holding the weekly guest list, but the hesitation in her step said more than words. I looked up from the reports. What's wrong? She placed the folder on my desk. You should probably see this yourself. I flipped it open casually until my eyes caught the name, Lena Hart. For a second, everything inside me went still. Under Adrian King, Grace added softly, Penthouse Suite. 5 nights. They arrive Friday? I closed the folder slowly. That's ironic. Grace studied me. Do you want me to cancel the booking? I shook my head. No. Let it stay. She frowned. You sure? You don't owe them anything. I know, I said, forcing a calm tone. But I'm curious. Let's see what silence does. Grace hesitated. You've changed, Ethan, but this could stir things up. Not the man who used to beg, I replied. I just want to watch. When she left, I sat there, staring out at the window. The ocean shimmered below, stretching endlessly beyond Aurelia Bay. My resort, my escape, had become the symbol of everything, built from ashes. 3 years ago, I had nothing but a cracked laptop and sleepless nights. Now, I owned the view people paid thousands to wake up to. And yet, hearing her name still tightened my chest. That night, I joined Sophia at the operations desk. She was reviewing staff schedules. "Everything set for the weekend?" I asked. "Mostly," she replied. "VIP guests, influencer couples, the usual." Grace said there's a high-profile client under an alias. "Something wrong?" I smiled faintly. "Let's just say it's someone from a past life." Her brow furrowed. "Do I need to prepare for drama?" "Not unless they bring it with them." "Oh." Sophia chuckled. "You're weirdly calm. If it were me, I'd throw them off the guest list." "I don't throw people out anymore," I said. "I let them walk into their own mirrors." She gave me a curious look. "That sounds poetic and slightly menacing." "Good," I said. "Maybe it's both." Friday came fast. The penthouse suite was ready, fresh flowers, ocean view, personalized wine bottle, the same way I designed every detail. Quietly perfect. Grace appeared at my door again. "They've arrived." I nodded, not looking up. "How do they look?" "Like they belong everywhere," she said carefully. "But you should see their faces when they realize where they are." I smiled. "Let them enjoy it. Aurelia Bay doesn't discriminate," she exhaled. "You're playing with fire." "Fire doesn't burn me anymore," I said. Hours passed. I didn't go near the lobby, but every motion sensor, every camera angle of the resort was familiar to me. I could imagine the moment clearly. Lena stepping into the glass atrium, her heels echoing. The salty breeze brushing through her hair, thinking this place was someone else's paradise. Adrian. Smug as always, probably bragging about his taste. The thought almost made me laugh that evening. Grace knocked again. "They're dining at the terrace. Table 12. "Which one is that?" "The one facing the cliffs," she said. "Your favorite?" Of course it was. "Want me to move them?" she asked. "No. Keep everything perfect. I want them to experience what success feels like without realizing whose shadow they're standing in." Grace hesitated. "And if she finds out?" "She won't. Not unless fate insists." I stood, walking toward the balcony. From there, the golden sunset stretched across the sea, painting the resort in fire and calm. My voice was low when I said, "I used to think revenge meant striking back. Turns out, sometimes it's just existing where they can't reach." Grace's tone softened. "You really built this from pain, didn't you?" "Pain was the blueprint," I replied. She smiled faintly. "In peace? That's the finishing touch." That night, I watched from a distance as they laughed over dinner, Adrian's confidence loud, Lena's smile strained. I didn't need to be close to feel the irony in the air. For the first time, I realized silence had its own kind of power. I whispered to myself, "Let them dine in comfort. Tomorrow, they'll learn whose dream they're sleeping in." And with that, I turned away from the window, calm as the sea outside, because fate wasn't knocking anymore. It was laughing. The evening lights glowed across the terrace, soft jazz echoing above the ocean breeze. The welcome dinner was in full swing, laughter, clinking glasses, and the subtle perfume of wealth in the air. Grace leaned close to me before I stepped out. "You don't have to go out there," she murmured. "I built this place," I said quietly. "It's time I walk through it." She sighed. "Then walk carefully." I nodded and adjusted my jacket. The moment I entered the dining area, conversation softened. Guests turned, curious. Some whispered, recognizing me from the occasional magazine feature. I'd learned to move through attention like misseen but untouchable. At the center table, I spotted them. Adrian King, all confidence and posture. Lena beside him, her laughter light but hollow. She hadn't seen me yet. I walked closer. Grace's warning echoed faintly in my mind, but my calm was absolute. "Mr. King," I said smoothly, "welcome to Aurelia Bay." Adrian looked up, surprised. "Oh, you're the one in charge?" "In a way," I replied. I like to greet important guests personally. He smirked. Nice touch. You must be the manager or something. Something, I smiled faintly. Something like that. Then I turned to her. Lena. The name left my lips like a whisper from another lifetime. Her fork froze midair. The color drained from her face. Slowly, she turned toward me. Ethan. I held her gaze calm, almost kind. It's been a while. She blinked, stunned. You this place, Adrian frowned. Wait, you two know each other? Lena's voice trembled. We. Used to. He leaned back casually. Small world, huh? Then he laughed. Didn't expect to find one of your exes running a resort. I smiled politely. Life's full of surprises. Her eyes darted between us. You own this? I tilted my head slightly. Does it matter? Her voice broke. It's beautiful. I nodded. It's peaceful. Took years to build. Adrian lifted his glass. Well, cheers to success, man. Must be nice working in a place like this. Grace, passing by, caught my eye briefly. I saw her bite her lip to hide a smirk. I replied evenly, It is nice. Especially when you build it from nothing. Adrian laughed, not catching the edge beneath my tone. I know the feeling. I started with a small inheritance, too. Hard work pays off. Inheritance, I repeated softly. Yes, that must have helped.
Ow.
Lena lowered her eyes. Her fingers trembled slightly on the wine glass. So, Adrian continued, how's the hospitality business treating you? You must have some rich owner backing you up. My smile didn't waver. You could say that, Lena whispered to Ethan. Why didn't you tell me? I met her gaze. Would it have mattered? Her lips parted, but no words came out. Adrian chuckled, oblivious. Well, we'll be sure to leave a glowing review, Mr. Cole, I said simply. Ethan Cole. Something in my tone made Lena flinch. Her eyes glistened, but she blinked quickly, trying to hold her composure. Adrian nodded. Right. Pleasure to meet you, Cole. Yeah, the pleasure's mutual, I said, shaking his hand. His grip was firm, performative. Enjoy your stay, I added. Dinner's on the house tonight. Adrian grinned. That's the kind of service I like. Lena finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan, wait. I turned slightly, the candlelight catching my face. Yes, her throat tightened. You've changed. Timed as that, I said softly. It burns the weak parts away. Adrian scoffed. Deep. You always talk like that? Only when the conversation's worth having, I replied. Grace appeared again, offering a polite distraction. Mr. Cole, the investors from Singapore just arrived. Handle them for now. I'll join shortly. Adrian raised his glass. To success? I returned the gesture with a faint smile. 2 lessons learned. As I walked away, I could feel Lena's eyes following me like a ghost chasing something already gone. Behind me, Adrian laughed loudly, oblivious. Man, what a night. Her voice, faint and distant, trembled. You have no idea. When I stepped onto the balcony, the ocean breeze hit my face, cool and sharp. Grace joined me after a moment. That was tense. Expected, I said quietly. She folded her arms. You handled it well. I didn't handle anything, I replied. I just let karma introduce itself. Grace smirked. And it looked good doing it. I looked down at the guests below, at the woman who once laughed at my gift. Now trembling in a place built by my scars. Funny, I murmured. How tables always turn eventually. Asterisk by midweek. The shine around Adrian had started to dull. His loud laughter filled the resort halls, but underneath it, I could hear the cracks forming. Staff avoided him. Grace's polite smiles grew thinner by the day. At breakfast, I overheard him boasting again, his voice cutting through the calm like a bad song. I told the investors to double the bid, he said to his friends, waving his phone. They'll cave soon enough. Everyone does. Lena sat beside him, quiet, pretending to be part of his world. Her hands rested on her lap, knuckles white. Grace leaned toward me later that morning. Your favorite guest is making enemies. Which one? I asked. She smirked. The one who thinks he owns the place. I almost smiled. Let him By afternoon, whispers had started spreading through the staff lounge. News headlines flashing on their phones: Adrian King Holdings, stocks plunging, deals collapsing. The same arrogance that once built his image now fed his ruin. I sat in my office, reviewing reports, when Daniel called. "You seeing the news?" he asked. "I am." He exhaled. "Karma's got good timing." I leaned back, watching the sea shimmer through the glass wall. It's not karma. It's arithmetic. You can't build stability on ego. Daniel chuckled. "Still poetic when you're cold." "I'm not cold," I said quietly. "Just done bleeding for people who never look back." That evening, I crossed paths with Lena near the lobby. She looked different. The confidence she wore like perfume was fading. "Ethan," she whispered. "Can we talk?" "Not tonight," I said calmly. "You're a guest. Enjoy your stay." Her eyes lingered on me, desperate. "Please." I walked away. Silence was sharper than anger it always had been. The next night, I saw her again standing near the bar, her reflection trembling in the glass. Clara, her old friend, approached her. Their voices carried softly across the quiet lounge. Clara leaned close. "You know this resort?" "It's his." Lena froze. "What do you mean?" "Ethan," Clara said. "He owns everything here." For a second, Lena didn't breathe. Then she whispered, "No, it can't be." Clara shrugged. "Guess the cheap guy had more to his story." She gave her a knowing look and walked away. I stayed in the shadows, unseen, watching realization crack through her pride. It wasn't satisfying. It was just... Still, hours later, a soft knock came at my office door. "Come in," I said. Lena stepped inside, eyes red, voice trembling. "You built all this?" I didn't answer immediately. I just looked at her, the same woman who once laughed at the hands that gave her something honest. Finally, I nodded. "From the same hands that made that cheap box?" She swallowed hard. "I didn't know." "You didn't care to?" I said evenly. Her lips trembled. "Ethan, I was young, stupid." I interrupted. "You were honest. You wanted comfort more than truth. Most people do." She looked down, tears falling. "He's losing everything. I don't even know who he is anymore." I tilted my head. "Maybe you do. Maybe you just don't like the reflection." Her breath caught. "You think I deserve this?" "I don't think about what people deserve anymore," I said softly. "I just watch them show themselves." She stepped closer. "Do you hate me?" I thought about it. The laughter, the way she said I didn't fit her world. The nights I worked through pain she never saw. "No," I said finally. "I don't hate you." "Then what do you feel?" "Pity," I replied. "For the part of you that mistook gold for worth?" She winced, tears spilling freely now. "You really did change." I shook my head. "No. I just stopped apologizing for being me." Silence filled the room. Thick, heavy, final. The waves outside crashed against the shore like slow applause for endings that came too late. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I nodded once. "I believe you. But apologies don't rewind time." She took a shaky breath. "If you ever, I won't," I said gently. "You're chasing ghosts." "I buried mine years ago." Her shoulders sagged. "Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Lena." When she left, I sat in the dim light for a long time. The quiet wasn't bitter, it was clean. The kind of silence that comes after a storm has said everything it needed to. I looked at my hands, the same ones she once mocked. The same ones that built her view, her room. Her regrets. They didn't shake anymore. She came to my office again the next evening. No makeup, no jewelry, no armor. Just Lena. Her eyes were swollen, her voice trembling as she stood in the doorway. "Ethan," she whispered, "please. Can we talk?" I didn't answer right away. I just gestured to the chair across from me. She sat, clasping her hands like she was holding on to the last thread of something invisible. "I don't even know where to start," she said, her voice breaking. "Try honesty," I said quietly. She laughed bitterly. "That's what I lost first, isn't it? I said nothing. The silence between us felt like an open wound that had forgotten how to heal. Finally, she spoke. I thought I was chasing dreams. Money, comfort, status. But I was just running from myself. I looked at her, her reflection trembling in the glass wall behind her. You always ran fast, I murmured. Her tears fell. You have every right to hate me. I humiliated you. I mocked the one person who actually loved me. Didn't say I loved you, I replied evenly. She flinched. You did. Maybe not with words, but you did. And I threw it away for someone who treated me like a trophy. I folded my hands. You made a choice. I made a mistake, she said sharply. A terrible one. Everyone does, I said. Some people just call theirs ambition. She buried her face in her palms. I thought Adrian was everything I wanted. He looked like success. He talked like power. But all he gave me was emptiness. Then why stay? I asked, her voice cracked. Because leaving meant admitting I was wrong. I leaned back, exhaling slowly. And now, I'm done pretending, she said. I don't want pity. I just wanted to tell you. I'm sorry, Ethan, for everything. I nodded once. Apology accepted. She blinked, surprised. Just like that? Just like that? You don't want revenge? You don't want me to feel what you felt? I looked at her. You already do. Her lips parted, trembling. Do you hate me? I shook my head slowly. No. Hate fades faster than love. She wiped her tears. Then what do you feel when you look at me? Nothing, I said truthfully. And that's how I know I've healed. Her breath hitched. I wish I could go back. You can't, I said. Neither can I. The past doesn't take visitors. Silence filled the room again. Only the waves outside spoke, steady and endless. Finally, she stood. You're a better man than I ever deserved. I gave a faint smile. That's not true. You just met me before I became him. She nodded, eyes downcast. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Lena. When she left, I didn't feel triumph. No satisfaction, no bitterness, just stillness. The kind that comes after a long storm when the sky finally remembers how to breathe. Later that night, I found Daniel waiting at the edge of the beach, a drink in his hand. The moonlight cut silver lines across the water. She finally broke? He asked. She did, I said quietly. He whistled. You could have crushed her, you know. Just one word from you, why? I asked. Life already did. He nodded slowly. You're a strange man, Ethan. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'm just tired of carrying ghosts. We stood there in silence for a while. The waves whispered like old memories, washing the edges off everything sharp. You ever think you'll forgive her? Daniel asked. I stared at the horizon. I already have. Forgiveness isn't for hurts for me. He smiled faintly. Guess that's what peace looks like. Maybe, I said. Or maybe it's just the absence of noise. He clapped my shoulder. Whatever it is, hold on to it. I nodded, but my eyes stayed fixed on the sea. The water moved without resistance, without memory. I realized that's what I wanted to be, something that didn't cling, didn't hold grudges, didn't wait for apologies. For years I thought revenge would set me free, that if I could make her see what she lost, I'd finally win. But now, standing under the vast silence of the stars, I understood something deeper. Revenge isn't release. It's another form of attachment chains made of anger instead of love. I closed my eyes, feeling the wind brush against my face. The past didn't hurt anymore. It didn't even whisper. It was gone, and for the first time in years, finally was too. Asterisk, the morning after she left, Grace slipped an envelope onto my desk. She asked me to give this to you, she said softly. I stared at the handwriting on the front, my name, in her old cursive. My throat tightened for a moment before I managed to ask, when did she leave? An hour ago, Grace said. Early flight. Didn't say much. Good, I murmured. Neither will I. When she left the room, I sat there staring at that letter for what felt like forever. The paper felt heavier than it should have been. Finally, I opened it. Ethan, I don't expect forgiveness. I just need you to know I finally understand what love really is. It's not about wealth or status, it's about peace. You gave me that once, and I broke it. I'm leaving the city. Maybe someday I'll build something real too. Thank you for showing me what I lost before I knew its worth. Lena, I folded the paper once. Then again, the words didn't hurt. They didn't sting. They just existed, like the echo of a memory long gone. I walked out to the beach. The waves were calm, gentle, the morning sky painted in gold and gray. I pulled out my lighter, flicked the flame, and watched the paper curl and darken. The smoke drifted upward, twisting into the sky before dissolving into nothing. Goodbye, I whispered. For real this time. I don't know how long I stood there. The sound of the waves had a rhythm steady, forgiving. Then I heard soft footsteps behind me, burning something important. Sophia's voice was calm, almost curious. I turned slightly, offering a faint smile. Something that used to be. She glanced at the ashes at my feet. Her letter. Yeah, want to talk about it? She asked. No. I looked at the horizon. There's nothing left to say. She stood beside me in silence for a while, her hair moving with the wind. You okay? She asked quietly. I exhaled slowly, watching the smoke fade into the sea breeze. For the first time in years, I said yes. Sophia smiled faintly. Then it's done. It's done. We stood there for a long time saying nothing. Just two people breathing in the same peace that the ocean carried. After a while, she spoke again. You ever regret forgiving her? No, I said. Regret belongs to people who still care. She nodded thoughtfully. You think she'll be okay? I think life will teach her what I couldn't. Sophia gave me a small, understanding look. That's mercy, not anger. I shrugged. Maybe it's both. She smiled. You know, I've seen a lot of people lose themselves chasing payback. You didn't, maybe. Because I already lost myself once, I said quietly. And it wasn't worth it. The wind picked up, scattering the last of the ashes into the sea. The moment felt right. Sophia watched the horizon. So what now? I move on, I said. No more ghosts. No more waiting for closure that was already here. She nodded. Sounds like peace. It is, I said. It finally is. We walked back toward the resort in silence. The world felt lighter somehow, like I'd just set down a weight I'd carried for far too long. Grace saw us from the deck and smiled. Everything okay? Perfect, I said. Better than it's been in years. Later in my office, I looked out at the guests walking along the beach. Laughter, sunlight, the sound of calm waves, it all felt different now, alive. Daniel called that evening. So, the storm's finally over? Yeah, I said. And the sea's quiet again, he chuckled. You sound different, like you've actually slept. I did, I said. I finally stopped fighting memories. He paused. You think she'll ever come back? If she does, I said, I won't be here waiting. He laughed softly. That's my guy. After the call ended, I sat by the window, watching the night settle over the water. The waves glowed under the moonlight, soft and endless. Karma hadn't destroyed her. It didn't have to. It just returned what she gave, the same silence, the same distance, the same lesson, and in that balance, I found my peace. I closed my eyes and smiled faintly. Sometimes the quietest endings are the loudest victories. Daniel leaned back in his chair, grinning. You've changed, man. I swear, success made you soft. I smirked. Soft. Or just done fighting battles that ended years ago. He laughed. That's the same thing in your book, I shrugged. Maybe, but peace feels better than pride. Sophia, sitting across the table with her laptop, glanced up. You? Talking about peace? I must be in the wrong universe. Mock all you want, I said, sipping my coffee. But I'm serious. She leaned forward, curious. So what's this rumor about you teaching business workshops? Daniel nearly spit his drink. You're kidding, Mr. Lone Wolf sharing trade secrets? I grinned. Not secrets. Lessons. People helped me when I had nothing. It's time I return the favor. Sophia tilted her head. So ... giving back? I paused, meeting her gaze. No, letting go. Her smile softened. That's surprisingly poetic for you, Daniel chuckled. You're getting sentimental, Ethan. What's next? A charity gala? Maybe, I said with a half smile. If the cause feels right? He raised a brow. Since when do you care about causes? Since I stopped caring about proving anything, I said quietly. That shut him up. For once, even Daniel didn't have a comeback. Sophia broke the silence. You really mean it, don't you? You're done with all of it. The grudges, the noise. I nodded. I buried it with that letter. She glanced toward the sea through the office window. You still walk down there sometimes, don't you? Every week, I admitted. Same spot. The one where the ashes disappeared? She smiled faintly. Does it still hurt? No, I said. It just reminds me I survived.
Ow.
Daniel stood, stretching. You're sounding like some Zen monk now. Should I start calling you Master Ethan? Only if you bow first, I said, grinning. He laughed. Never. After they left, I sat alone for a while, listening to the quiet hum of the office. The resort had grown new villas, new clients, endless bookings. Yet somehow, everything felt simpler, lighter. Later that evening, I walked down to the shore. The sun was sinking low, painting the water in streaks of gold and red. The same breeze that once carried the ashes brushed against my face. I closed my eyes, listening to the waves. Sometimes I thought I heard her laugh in that sound, not cruel, not mocking, just distant, like a ghost finally at peace. I hope you found your version of this, I whispered. A gull cried somewhere above me. The tide rolled in gently, washing over my shoes. I didn't move. For years I'd thought victory meant proving her wrong. Building empires, earning recognition, making the world see what she couldn't. But standing there, with no audience and no applause, I realized how wrong I'd been. Winning wasn't loud. It wasn't a spectacle. It was this breathing without bitterness, smiling without a reason, and finally being free from needing to be understood. Sophia's voice echoed in my memory. You talk like someone who survived a war. Maybe I did. I looked at the horizon one last time before heading back up the path. The lights from the resort glowed softly behind me, alive and warm. Daniel's laughter drifted from the patio, Sophia's voice following after. For the first time I felt home. No ghosts. No wait. Just peace. And as I walked away from the sea, I realized the truth I'd been chasing all along. Silence wasn't empty. It was victory.